Okay, hello, good evening. My name is Madigan. I'm a fourth-year communication design student, and I want to thank you all for coming to attend this evening's event. My project is titled Kids Design for Bees, and it's designed to empower youth and create a conversation around bees. This project is in the form of a program for kids that focuses on key themes of bees and empowerment by putting on an art workshop. I'm currently developing the pilot of that structure. This project is driven by a profound love for bees and in-depth experience in working in childcare and youth programming and working with kids with various needs and abilities. The current health of bee populations is a major issue that I think we need to address. Bees play a vital role in keeping the balance between other species and their environments. Bees are heavily involved in our food supply as well. So 70 of the top 100 food crops rely on pollinators for their production. And populations of bees and other insect pollinators seem to be declining. This is happening globally, but is most extreme in North America and Europe. Greenpeace put out a paper called Bees in Decline recently that opens up two major concerns about this decline in populations. One, that there's no firm conclusion by the scientific community of one thing that is causing this decline. There's multiple possibilities, such as diseases and parasites, climate change, insecticides, and industrial agriculture. Not knowing this root cause of bee populations dying out makes it difficult to address the problem in the most efficient way. And secondly, it brings up that as bees are used by farmers in agricultural production, the demand for bees in agriculture is increasing faster than suppliers can breed new bees. This could cause major food shortages in the agriculture industry. Problem space of this project has two parts. One, that bees are in decline, and if we don't actively address this, then we can't affect change. And the second part of this problem is that most of our youth are currently experiencing what can be called climate anxiety, emotional turmoil about their futures being uncertain. And this is caused by today's volatile social, political, and environmental climate. To address this problem, I'm proposing a workshop that's designed to achieve three main things: empowering youth, making meaningful change, and creating a conversation around bees and their impact. The end result of this workshop will be a unique product or art piece that will aid to protect pollinators in some way. I want to encourage a generation that is highly environmentally conscious and that brings that skill into the attitude of the way they live their life and the way they impact others. My solution can be broken down as a series of collaborative activities that position kids as partners in the design process. There's a lot of study into the value of co-creation and the way it can impact kids positively. And the Norwegian University of Science and Technology published an article that says when children are positioned as partners instead of subjects, they experience empowerment by giving them a voice and a platform to make change. The activities will be centered around bees, learning through making, and questioning our world. A good example of a successful project of a similar nature was a project titled Big Rock Candy Mountain that was put on by two local artists, Hannah Jickling and Helen Reed. Through this project, they probed a group of students to work together around a theme to make a product or something. And the theme for this project was focused on candy and how it can function as a form of currency in communities of kids. The chocolate bar, the sour versus sour bar, which is pictured here, was worked on collaboratively by the artists and the kids in every stage of production, from taste making to naming and packaging. The products were actually produced and sold small scale. This project was important in causing a turning point for my direction. It's an example of engaging kids in creative, fun, and inventive ways. And this method was contrary to what I was previously leaning towards, which was a more traditional educational approach. I'm currently in the process of developing the content for my workshop and the project. I've been doing research into co-creation pollinators in education since August, and right now I'm working on several activities that use different methods and mediums to engage the kids. One activity that I've been developing is a word association exercise. It's designed to get the participants thinking in unorthodox ways. In that activity, working in small groups, they'd be given 3 unrelated words and tasked with combining them to create a new thing that they have to capture either physically or on paper. And the workshop in total, as it is now, could possibly take over 2 sessions that each approximately last an hour. I've reached out to a grade 5 and 6 classroom in North Vancouver, where I live, where I'm hoping to put on this pilot workshop in mid-February. I'm also working with a few teachers in the North Vancouver School District to make sure that the activities in this workshop will work in the classroom setting. The next step to my project is to complete the development of that pilot workshop. and the activities that I'm in the process of designing need to be refined and tested on example participants. After actually doing the pilot workshop, I'll need to analyze the way it functioned, if the participants had a good experience, and if the overall outcome was of value. What I'm hoping to engage you in today is an open conversation about the direction and development of my project. I want to get input on additional pathways to meet my goals in a meaningful way. Thank you.
Great, so we have George, Johan, and Stephanie on this one.
All right, thank you. Can I start? Yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you for your pitch. I just have a couple questions. One is, I fail to understand, how is the workshop itself going to save the bee decline?
So I'm not proposing that the workshop will be the one thing that affects that important change that will make it so they're not in decline. Through this workshop, I'm hoping to create a trend among our youth as they grow up to have this be at the forefront of their thought. So through that, impacting bees in a long-term way, to kind of bring the thoughts about how they can not negatively impact bees in their day-to-day life into society as they grow up.
And then follow-up question is, I think the same as from the first pitch, is where is the money? Like the workshop, it seems to me you can go and try it out, but how are you gonna bank it and have either investors or people putting money in it, and who are your clients?
Right. Yeah, so a lot of that line of questioning is something that I'm currently exploring. I don't have very concrete answers in that sector because I'm still doing the pilot workshop to test what things are of most value in the way that it could be scaled for longevity. So I'm not exactly sure where the project will lie and what its strengths will be, and that's kind of where I'm hoping to engage you in a conversation about that, or kind of figure that out as I get that pilot workshop.
Yeah, I guess there's a different way you could do it, like a license from the workshop, and then try it out in different cities, yes. And then having it if the workshops take off, or then maybe sell it to a non-profit or to schools or whatever, because you're going to want to. If not, it's going to be a one-time workshop. But if you want to make it very sustainable, you'll have to think about it. Yeah, and I think you do need to think about it now for when you're going to pitch to get some money. Yeah.
Unlike water filtration, I have no knowledge on bees other than supporting them. I really wanted to ask you about scalability, like how big do you expect this project to go and who'd pick it up? But I think it sounds like you're questioning that yourself. I think that you've got a great idea. I can't see it going wrong. It's a question of how scalable, but there's absolutely nothing preventing you from just starting it tomorrow. So I don't really think I have anything to add to that.
One of my best friends is a planner and a landscape architect, and spends all of her time on pollination. I think there's a number of interesting use cases for something like this for different types of organizations. So the first company that comes to mind that might be interesting in something like this is Burt's Bees. Large corporates that have a very strong emphasis on social and environmental responsibility. They're looking to potentially show people that, look, hey, we have a product that is not negatively impacting pollinators. We've got the science to back that up, and we want to teach you how to engage with pollinators in a more active way. There's a potential use case there. I think it starts to you get to sort of the blurry edges of what constitutes a venture when you start thinking oh, okay, is there a licensing model here? Am I offering up my services as kind of a public educator in different contexts? I can think of people who do that kind of work, and there's a niche there. It's a small one, but there is a niche. I think one of the things that you would really want to look at, I would suggest in your programming development, is what's the tangibility factor? There's so much cool research being done and work being done today on all of the various ways that we can support pollinators. There's controlled burnings for grasslands. We're rethinking our physical landscapes and what it means to have a healthy landscape. Is it a big field of grass, or is it brown grass that maybe we burn a little bit in the summer and then we let it reconstitute itself? And does that help pollinators, et cetera, et cetera? Giving kids that tangibility factor, I think, can really help drive not only because I work a lot on climate grief as well. Being able to feel like you're doing something, that's what people are looking for, right? And if you can offer that, you have a service that people are interested in. So I think nailing down what elements of potentially landscape restoration that you're offering these kids, that's something really critical. So I think, like I say, you've got a few different use cases there. I think you want to explore a number of those. I would say engage with the landscape architecture community. Think about corporates that are interested broadly in sort of landscape restoration, landscape management, and then start thinking about that educational opportunity with different nonprofits, schools, et cetera. You've got a few pieces there. Like both my colleagues have said here, I think there's very little chance of failure in the sense of getting this launched, but you do have, I see some potential to scale, but I think you really got to narrow that use case in.
Okay, fantastic.